Talk.
Hello everybody, welcome to Sonictalk episode 690, recording today on Wednesday the 3rd of November 2021. This is a music technology podcast. We talk about all things to do with music technology and music distribution, software, synthesizers, recording, all that kind of stuff. And we have, as usual, have an excellent panel of guests who I will get over to in a second. I want to say thank you very much to everybody who's watching live on YouTube live stream. We're also streaming live on Facebook and Twitch and IRC, which we've got a new server. Hope that's working for everybody. We've got plans for that, and also those of you over on Discord. Nice to see, I think Kent Spong and Synth Addict and various people in the chat room. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. Also want to say, if you're interested, you can follow this on in audio. It's on iTunes, it's on Google Podcast, it's on Alexa, it's on Amazon, it's on all those places where you might hear audio podcasts. And if you feel the need to support, we've got a Patreon, which you're welcome to join us. In fact, if you join our upper tier before the end of the programme, it's a very good chance your name will appear in lights at the end of the show. But not only that, you get lots of extra content, including patch demos, ad-free versions, pre-show of Sonictalk, a whole lot of other things. So feel free to join us. And I think I've got a button for that. Yeah, I've got a button just there. But patreon.com/Sonicstate, all welcome. So let's get on to some guests. We've got our friends. Well, I don't know where to begin. We've got a couple of people that we haven't had for ages. Maybe we'll start with Mr. Dave Spiers of G4 Software, who's over there in his studio with some nice. It looks like you've got some nice hue lighting there going on. What's up, Dave?
Yeah, lots. Yeah, I'm all right, thank you.
Excellent. You're looking. Your lockdown hair is increasing in volume right there, Dave. I mean, I must say you're putting most of the panelists to shame, being one of the only few remaining music technology personalities with a head of hair. So good for you.
Yeah, well, I won't turn round. But I think I was saying before. It started as a joke during lockdown because I was like, when it's a middle-aged bloke, who's losing it on the back, going to get a chance to be ludicrous again. So I did, and actually it was funny. Well, it wasn't a funny occasion. I was at Chris Huggett's memorial a couple of Sundays ago, and Gaz was there, and of course we were masked, and Gaz was like, I would have walked right by you, I wouldn't have recognised you. Anyway, it was funny afterwards. I was saying, I said, well, it started out as a joke because everyone was like, dude, I can't believe your hair. And Chris McLeod just piped up, and it's just got even funnier since. So I think that was fairly apt. That lifted the spirits a bit.
I noticed you've got a Nagra back there. Is that that's a very tasty. Is that a Nagra? A portable recorder?
Yeah.
I say portable.
Yeah,
I mean, in 1970s/80s terms, that is.
Yeah, it's not mine, unfortunately. I borrowed it, but yeah, it was funny actually. A video guy came round to see me and went, "Oh God, I remember traipsing across Kenya doing a documentary with one of these," and it screwed my back. But I can imagine back in the day.
Yeah, I've got hankering after the one that Heimbach's gone, which is the sort of more. It's a Nagra like spy recorder, which is about this. Well, it's still pretty big, but it's it's the thing that they have on the Mission Impossible original. With this message will self-destruct in 5 seconds or whatever it is. I think that's what I want, but I'm never going to be able to afford one of those.
Beautifully engineered. They really are. Beautiful things,
aren't they? Yes. Anyway, lovely to have you, Dave. We should also get and say hello to Mr. Rich Hilton. Rich Hilton we haven't seen for ages either. Rich has been on the road with Chic, where he mans the controls of the keyboards as well as doing various studio duties all over the world. How are you, Rich?
Thank you. I'm well. Doing well.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear that. That sounds good. I think I might just need to just give you a bit of extra gain this end, because
I turned down a little bit as per your suggestion.
Yeah, it was just driving. I've got that. So anyway, let's bring that up. Anyway, lovely to have you, Rich. So you're having a period at home, which must be kind of nice after all the travelling. It's weird, isn't it, getting out? Because we were talking pre-show about the whole concept of it's great to be out there and shows happening, but it still feels like one needs to take care, and I guess, you know, with an operation like yours, when it's on the road, you're probably being protected heavily, because if one of you goes down, then the shows can't happen. So, you know, it must be a kind of a weird world.
I think that's true for everybody who's actually out there playing shows. You have to really be careful. And unfortunately, your social opportunities are somewhat more limited than usual. And just try to count your blessings and play good shows. That's my way of getting through it. And apologize a lot to people who you can't, you know, hang out with.
Yeah. I get that. Well, lovely to have you here. At least we can have you to ourselves for almost an hour or more. Anyway, I want to say hi to I think we got Alex Ball in the chat room, who is actually featuring in a couple of topics this week. So nice to have the horse's mouth, as it were. Mr. Matt Hodson, aka Maths. How are you?
Hello.
Nice to see you too. Of course, educator, producer, artistic performer. You've actually got and looks like your modular case has been slapped onto the wall. Was it some kind of terrible accident with glue, or was it planned?
I had multiple cases, and I decided to combine it all into one. So I had these built for me. These are two separate cases. And just getting around to putting all the modules in it, and it's bolted to the wall, which makes it convenient for me because I like to be stood up. I'm stood up now, so you can see how high it is, and I'm just sick of sitting down so much. And I just realised that, you know, that's all I need really. I've got a little desk in front of it, and it's just a really simple workflow for me. I've just really simplified everything that I had around me. So, I'm really happy with these. Really happy with them. Got a guy designed them actually on Etsy, weirdly enough. Just send him what you want, dimensions, put all the power in, shipped it to me in a crate. And here they are. Really happy with it. Done a great job. I wish I could remember the name. I'll give them a shout out, but I can't.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad you're busy. You've got a lot on, haven't you? I see you've got a track coming up, and I might actually be able to.
Yeah, I just released a track as part of my monthly release of track a month job which I've been doing. So I've made it to November. I've got 2 more to go, and I'll have done 12 for this year. So I didn't know if I was going to make it. So I'll release the last one, I think, on Friday. And 2 more to do. And then I think what I'm going to do is release them all on vinyl. As an album, when you can get vinyl.
Yeah, well, I was going to say that sounds like that might be a bit of a task, just because it's so hard to actually get hold of, or get vinyl made and kind of sent back out again, right?
And what I thought I'd do as well is do a little video just talking about actually the benefits of releasing 1 track a month as an independent artist, and what that's actually meant for things like socials and sales and audience and growth and all that kind of stuff, just to give everyone a bit of feedback on this experiment I've been doing this year.
Yeah, that's a good plan. I mean, I think because everybody's looking for kind of ways to make it work. As we know, I mean, the whole sort of album cycle it takes a lot of commitment, and it's also, once you've kind of started, you're kind of stuck. You know, it's like it won't be out till next September, and you can't hear anything until we've finished stuff. So in many ways, it's quite an interesting workflow that you've figured out there. So yeah, that'd be great. Love to hear that. Let us know.
Yeah, I'll let you know. And there's a video premiering on Friday of a live gig that I did when I was supporting Rival Consoles last month as well, which I think is on Friday night, 7:00. So I've just finished editing and uploaded that.
There it is. Yes, premieres in 2 days. In fact, and that is that's the URL right there. So which I'll put
thanks, Nick.
in again. That's no problem. Okay, right. Let's see. I guess we've got topics then. There is actually news, which is good. Actually, before I do that, I want to plug the old Sonic album, because everybody here, well, Dave didn't because he was busy, but everybody else here has put a track on the Sonic album, and it's still there, and it's still extremely good value, and I would thoroughly recommend you check it out. The link is in the comments and all those other places. Anyway, right, there's been all sorts of shenanigans, haven't there? We've now got the news. Let me see if I can find it. Presonus have been acquired by Fender, which I didn't actually have a video to play. There's not much to say really, but this is big news. I mean, Fender, massive American company. Presonus, pretty big American company with a huge roster and portfolio of products from a really successful Studio One, DAW, to live reinforcement, to sound interfaces, to all kinds of stuff. And this, I was trying to find a number. Sadly, there is no number, but and I couldn't find a number of like what their even annual turnover. Somebody said I found something that said $64 million a year. So whatever the multiplier is, this has got to be a really big deal. Obviously, we have to wait for the various bodies to do their due diligence and to the American business governmental stuff to say whether it's okay. But this could actually be, I mean, it makes a lot of sense to me. I don't know, Rich, you are an American, so it feels fair enough I would come to you. They're both American companies. So I mean, I'm not asking you to represent either of them, but I mean, this is quite a big deal. I was kind of surprised to hear it, but I guess it makes sense, right?
I guess it makes sense. There's a lot of this going on these days. We know that Native Instruments, for example, acquired Isotope, which is not a hardware company, but nevertheless, there's this acquisition activity seems to be in force these days. And as for this one, well, there could be some really, really positive outcomes beyond getting a free version of Studio One Beginner with your Fender guitar. There might be some other really interesting ramifications, hopefully, because I have such respect for Presonus as a company and their products in general. I hope that they're basically left to do what they do best and bolstered by additional financial support in the development process by their associations with Fender. And in the meantime, they will be this cross-pollinating of product, like I just said, where they give away a copy of Studio One Beginner with a Fender product, and then also try to sell you an interface designed specifically for guitarists, not unlike something that Apogee has in their product line called Jam. So yeah, there's the possibility for any number of cross-pollinated products, but ultimately what I'm hoping is that Fender is a positive contributor to their financial development and product development, therefore, and that we see more really good things from Presonus, because I think they've got some very cool products. The price versus performance ratio with them tends to be very, very good. You get a lot of performance for not a lot of money.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, the one thing that I think must be a big factor in this is obviously they've made really big inroads into professional music production from a software point of view. Studio One has been immensely successful for them, and it really kind of filled a void that Pro Tools users were finding, I think, at a specific time. And so the trajectory kind of while Pro Tools got used to the whole subscription and changing kind of shape of the way that they were doing things, I think a lot of Studio One people picked up. I wonder whether or not also, I mean, you think, I mean, while Fender is more of a sort of lifestyle, one could argue the brand is being used to kind of for sort of more lifestyle stuff, whether the fact that there's almost like a sort of ceiling that's been reached with the evolution of guitars, because there's so much you can't make guitars out of certain beautiful kinds of wood, quite rightly, because the materials have become less available. So there needs to be a sort of a movement somewhere with a company like Fender where they can grow into much more areas, and it makes a lot of sense that way. I don't know, Matt. Do you think do you have any opinions on this? I mean, I guess a lot of this stuff appears in your college, and you see the Presonus things. I mean, hopefully it'll all just carry on as normal and it'll just be better.
Yeah, it does make you wonder. And like Rich says, it's interesting to see what maybe trajectory they're going to go on with this. And, if we're going to see a little bit more integration and deals between instruments and software and hardware. I mean, I don't know if you all saw the leak recently of the guitar with the DAW in it from Preset. No, I'm joking. But yeah, that would be interesting. But no, I guess, you can kind of compare it a little bit in some ways, Apple doing the hardware and the software thing all together. And for a company like Fender to kind of have the hardware and the software, as Rich points out, there's the Studio One that comes with it. There's the audio interfaces, there's mixing, there's PA equipment, there's I think they do quite a few MIDI controllers as well.
Yeah, lots of good stuff.
Yeah, there's a variety of stuff. So it's a good company for them I think, to acquire. Why Presonus would want to sell as well is another question. Was it out of necessity, or was it maybe they had a vision?
They couldn't refuse.
Yeah, or maybe they had a vision for the company of a way to do it, but they couldn't afford it. And it was only bringing in someone like Fender, who I guess have got a bob or two, have been able to kind of help realize those dreams. So, I mean, it's only literally just happened, I think. So usually with these things, it's a good couple of years before you start seeing things happen. I mean, I remember, I think the biggest one that really we was talking about recently was the Native Instruments one, wasn't it? When didn't they got a lot of it funding? I don't know if they got bought out.
No, I think the company that funded Isotope up to a heavy degree also funded NI to create this kind of symbiosis. I don't know quite how it's been, but yeah, it's not quite a merger, but it's more or less sounds like it.
Yeah, and yet I guess we're still waiting to see the fruition of what that brings as well.
Well, yeah, because we did the what was it, 25 years of Native Instruments, where I was talking about that with Yoad last week, and it was quite noticeable. Which is actually thinking about it, there doesn't seem to have been many great leaps forward or new products or stuff happening during lockdown, which has been the case for a lot of people because they've been actually the revenue's been great, so they've been investing in new development. And it just doesn't seem to have been happening. So yeah, maybe that'll come soon.
I have to say, I mean, things with like Native Instruments, I've worked at many universities and I know that we spend a lot of money every year updating. Would you believe it? Native Instruments brings out the next update just around the time we're doing our budgeting. They kind of cottoned on to when that is. And I kind of wonder that if the education institutes are really not keeping them afloat, but certainly pumping a lot of money every year into Native Instruments just with the updates from one complete to the next.
I would imagine that's true. I know, Dave, mergers and acquisitions, it's an interesting kind of area, I suppose. Do you think this? I mean, it makes sense. I mean, because I suppose in a lot of ways Apple are showing the way by doing, by owning the entire kind of top to bottom, and it's like working out for them because they can do what they want. They're not limited by, having to incorporate other manufacturers and whatnot in it. Do you think this is going to be a good thing? I mean, I don't know any of the folks at Presonus. I've heard that there's some very smart people there, and we worked with them in the past. I think we did a couple of shows where we were part of their live streaming stage at NAMM. That was quite a long time ago, so they're pretty forward thinking back then.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people who use Studio One. What's it up to? Studio One 5 or something now?
Yeah, I think so.
And very good. I mean, obviously, I use it for testing and stuff like that. Very, very good. It's an interesting. I mean, I was a little bit blown away, only because there's a history of guitar companies acquiring, let's say, software companies, and it not. In fact, it's bizarre. A million years ago, I was coming back from NAMM, and I get on the plane and I'm sat next to two guys who I didn't know, and one of them leans over and says, "Excuse me, do you know anything about sequencing packages?" And I'm like, well, of all the people to sit next to on the plane, you're probably talking to somebody who does know something. And it transpired that that was just when Gibson had bought Opcode.
Ouch.
And these
Didn't go
guys
well.
were the UK distributors for Gibson guitars, and they were obviously, the whole Opcode product line was being foisted on them, and it was like, if you don't take this, then we're probably going to remove the guitars from you, which was obviously a decent earner for them. So they were desperate. They basically, it was like 11 hours sat on a plane with these guys going, "Would you just come and run this side of the company for us? Because we wouldn't know one end of a sequencer from the other." I was kind of tempted. But with hindsight, I'm really glad I didn't.
I think you made the right choice, Dave.
Lots more. Oh, totally, yes. Yeah, I hope this is a lot more successful.
It's
and
interesting.
I don't see any reason why not. I think
No.
what you get now is both parties seem to do a lot more due diligence on each other, not just the acquiring partner, but also the acquiree, as it were. And the fit has to be right. If you spent, in this case, 25 years building up a product line and a reputation, unless you're just trying to cash out, which I don't think people, I mean, hey, anyone who's in this industry just to cash out is in the wrong industry. But I think you have to kind of be very careful. And these things take time before they're announced. So I have no doubt that there's been a lot of toing and froing in the background. Yeah, I wish them luck.
Yeah, well, I hope so. I mean, I just think we'll see more of this moving around. Not only because a lot of companies, I know this is perhaps getting a bit more into MI finance, but a lot of companies have been making good money while the pandemic's on, and that's not in a kind of cynical way. It's just as people have been, locked at home or not able to go, they go, well, I'm really into being creative, and they're starting to put money into things that make them happy, and MI companies can provide that sort of stuff. So they must have been making a decent, amount of money, and so maybe they got some cash around in there. I think we'll probably see a lot more of this stuff happening, minor movings around and whatnot, and it may be good. It may be good because it means consolidation and more strength in the industry as a whole. I would say. I would hope anyway. Okay, well, at this point, I should probably just have a quick word from our friends over at iZotope. They were mentioned briefly, being aligned with Native Instruments, but this is more to do with their Music Producers Club.
iZotope Producers Club is a one-of-a-kind membership for producers ready to take their tracks to the next level. Once you join, you'll gain access to powerhouse iZotope plugins and a curated selection of tools from our partners, such as Melodyne from Celemony. Plus, as long as you're a member, you'll get every future update to the iZotope plugins in your membership for no extra cost. We'll also regularly serve you new curated content like exclusive inspiration-sparking sample packs and preset packs, and industry-leading training ranging from our own tutorials to vocal production lessons from the world-renowned Berklee Online, taught by Grammy-winning producer and engineer Prince Charles Alexander. With new content being added every month full of valuable production techniques, tips and tricks, and solutions to common production problems, becoming a member is an investment in your career that grows as you and your career do. For more information on iZotope Producers Club, head to iZotope.com.
Well, I want to say thank you very much to iZotope for continuing to support the podcast. Very much appreciated. In fact, if you head over to iZotope.com/Sonictalk, you can access a bunch of information about the Music Production Suite Pro, which actually gives you pro versions of the iZotope stuff, which is actually, well, advanced, in fact, which are pretty, that's the top end stuff. But also, while we're at it, they've also got some sales on in terms of Black Friday. They've started, in fact, the iZotope Holiday Bundle Platinum Edition is $99 and makes other things. And if you're interested, and I did check this out because I thought I'll try this, if you enter the coupon code Sonic10 at checkout, look at that, you save an extra 10% on an already ridiculous deal. So if you want to save yourself a bit more money, that doesn't apply to the subscriptions, but if you buy any stuff, that's a special one that's been given to us by iZotope for Sonic Talk listeners. So use the code Sonic10 at checkout for anything other than hardware and stuff. Oh, I'm hearing a Rhodes there. That's a Rhodes sound, at least. Is that actually a Rhodes there, Rich? Or it's almost topical?
It's not actually a Rhodes. It is my new old Roland 88 note keyboard controller that I just purchased and I am in love with, and it has a serviceable Rhodes. And I wasn't sure if my mic was on.
Yeah, it is. I can confirm that it actually is. Well, maybe we should, while we're at it, let's go there. We've got. I'm gonna have to move.
It seems to be in the chat room at the moment that I'm reading.
It does seem to be in the chat room. All right. Well, let's go for.
Might as well.
Let's do it.
Might as well
so
go
this
there.
is the news of the new Rhodes MK8, which is a brand new hardware Rhodes, lovingly made with all the kind of qualities and whatnot that you get in a Rhodes. It's. I think it's a 6 octave Rhodes MK8 500 limited run. It's starting at $9,500, so it's a chunk of change. I was looking on Reverb to see what kind of proper vintage Rhodes were going, and they were going for about 7,000 UK, so it's in the area, of a I'm assuming that's pristine. It's a bunch of money, but it's also nice to see such an iconic machine. A friend of ours, Dan Goldman, who actually used to do a lot of Rhodes restoration work and Whirly stuff. He's actually part of the team now, and I think he's evolved. So I just wanted to mention that. And I think the thing is it's got 6 octaves, analog preamp, EQ drive, envelope pan with an extra effects option, so it's got an analog preamp built into it, so it's about as peachy as a new Rhodes can be, but it's not. It looks to me, if you're looking at these images, it looks to me like they're actually, they're not cutting the corners, they're still making it with all the kind of beautiful engineering and felt and the tines, the kind of stuff that I'm not a Rhodes player. I'll come to you first, Dave, because I know you Rhodes, it's the cornerstone of jazz funk, right? Isn't that part of your musical heritage?
I'm more of a I do love a Rhodes, but I'm more of a Whirly dude. Donny Hathaway for me was the man, so that's what I've spent my life trying to emulate. Fascinating. I mean, obviously Dan has just been such a Rhodes aficionado, and the kind of go-to guy over here in the UK if you need your Rhodes sorted and whatnot. So I knew, I'd heard about this a while ago, and I was kind of, wow, okay, this could be really cool. I guess if I had one hope, it would be some kind of MIDI out. That would be beautiful, but I don't think that
doesn't look like it.
And maybe once they get their economies of scale sorted out, the price might start to come down. But it does look lovely, and it does sound lovely, and again, I kind of wish them all well, but it is quite a chunk of change, isn't it?
It's a lot of cash, isn't it? I mean, it's great, again, that, presumably a lot of smart people, a lot of investors, a lot of people who kind of put their faith in this have done their due diligence, and they're in 500. There's probably easily, you probably sell 150 of those to hire companies at least, so I'm sure it will be a viable thing. I'll come to you next, Rich, because I know, you must have played the classic combo of the Rhodes with maybe a synthesizer on top of it at some point, and and a filter wah or whatever, a fond memories. Do you think this is something that you would?
I still have my M-Tron phaser.
Oh,
from back in the day, which is the Joe Zawinul sound. Yes, of course. My first experience playing a Fender Rhodes, I think, was in 1972. To put some perspective on it, I love this instrument, and I'm really excited about this product. I think it looks to me like they've done a really good job, though of course I need to sit down and play it. They claim to have made some advancements in the action, which is very interesting, because I know, given the pedigree of the people who are putting it together, that they wouldn't have wanted to change it that much, because it's got a very distinctive feel, and that goes into the way people play it and the kind of things you get out of it. And speaking of the action, I see a lot of discussion about why didn't the thing have MIDI, and I'm not mad about that, and here's why. Because the mechanical action keyboards I've used that did send MIDI, and I used to own a Yamaha CP50, which had MIDI, I think they're really badly suited to it. And secondly, it always has some kind of effect on the design of the actual mechanical part of the keyboard, almost by necessity. And so it changes the feel of the thing. And I think if you're going to do something like this, you build the best version of the original design that you can. And it looks to me like they've done that. They've added a lot of features, electronic features, that I hold a healthy but optimistic skepticism about. I'd like to see, I need to hear it and feel it.
It does actually say starting at 9.5K, which I'm guessing is probably without that additional effects kind of insert thing. It's just the base model. There's no details on the actual website. I mean, if I just bring that up again quickly, I mean, it's literally, that's it. There's just sign up, be part of our community. There's no other details, but I take your point, Rich. It looks like a great thing. At the way it's priced, it's almost like a collector's piece and a trophy piece, rather than something that
tons of touring musicians are likely to buy and start using on the road, but maybe I'm wrong. And go ahead and let me be wrong, because I'd love to see people, I'd like to see this succeed, and I'd like to see people go back to using it. And it is wonderful, but the fact is that it's so easy to get outstanding Rhodes samples into whatever you're already running that I think it's sort of a tough sell for your average fellow making music.
There's got to be 500 people out. There's got to be 500 people out there who just really appreciate the feel of a proper Rhodes and keyboard, and so yeah, I'm sure it's going to work out for them. But it's a chunk. That's for sure. I know, Matt, are going to be getting one for the college, do you think? I mean, you probably got a grand piano there, which also at one of the facilities at least, which would cost probably 10 times this.
Yeah, I mean, we could get this, or we could get tables and chairs for the whole, the whole institute. It's a lot of money, and something like this would be wasted on me. But some of the players at BIM they're just amazing. You walking around that institute. And just you just walk past all the different rooms, and just the amount of talent spewing out of those rooms, it's just makes me feel like a completely failed musician, which I kind of am. That's why I mess around with this lot. But I guess what I was wondering more about this, because I didn't realize until I was just looking at it again now, because you get the EQ on this, you get the drive, you've got the effects. I think these are all the extras if you want. You've got this vary pan. You've got wave shaping stuff going on. I mean, Rich, would you use all those kind of things? I mean, I guess you're using mainly a Rhodes sample when you're playing live. I guess you don't have a real Rhodes on stage. I'm just wondering, would you want that compressor?
Using that.
Saying that would you want that compressor? Would you want all those effects, or?
Well, now that you mention it, I would not mind having them if they sound good and work well, but I have trouble. I didn't see a gain reduction meter on that compressor, and that gives me a little bit of a problem. I don't see any adjustable attack and decay. So if I turn the knob and it sounds good, cool. And that's really all they've put it there to do, sort of. I also imagine that those things exist in a fixed configuration in terms of what comes first and what comes last, but maybe I'm wrong about that too, because I just don't know. Having various modulation opportunities on board the instrument that make you feel like you've got a vintage stereo Boss representation of a chorus or something like that, that would be fine. I don't mind. I just need to see it. I just need to feel it, hear it, and experience it making my life better. And I bet you it does.
I'm wondering about we could see this kind of. Can you imagine it becomes a massive hit and they sell loads of them, and but then they'll be taken out on the road, and there'll be more work for road crew, and they'll be hiring people to lug roads about and up and down stairs again, which will be a kind of not necessarily a bad thing, but kind of weird that it would go in that direction, I suppose.
Plenty of people are doing that, and they're bringing Hammond organs, and they're bringing giant keyboard rigs are sort of back in vogue in jammier areas of the music business. You look at most of the young jam bands, and they're bringing Wurlitzers, Rhodes, clavinets. They're bringing this. There's a tremendous romance about bringing all that stuff, and it's fun to play. I mean, I don't mean to step on the idea, because it really is a cool thing when you have it all. But yes, it's a tremendous amount of trouble for the crew. You have to sort of travel with the gear, which is very expensive. You can't really rent it like that. So.
Just have to have one in every country, and then sort of, when you go over, it's just like ship it. But I mean, that's why I think there'll probably be quite a lot of hire going on in terms of, because I don't know what the maintenance on something like that, a kind of pristine 88 or 73 or whatever would be. It'd be probably quite considerable, I'd imagine. I mean, not $7,000, but over, it'd be a while before a brand new one needs maintenance, I would hope.
When I was recording in 2019 at Abbey Road, of all places, I was playing their Fender Rhodes, and clearly it hadn't been serviced in a long time, so I had the lid off and the harp tilted up, and I was adjusting dampers so that the thing would be playable. And the technicians there who were watching me do this had clearly never been inside the thing and made comments like, wow, it's like working on a car. which made me laugh. I guess it didn't make anybody else here laugh, but it made me laugh at the time. And
yeah, I mean, I've got an EP-200A here, and the power's gone in it, and I opened it up and I had to tune some of the tines, and I was scraping bits of solder off those tines with a scalpel to try and get them in tune, and it was just like, it's real tough.
Did you say the power?
You know when they tell you?
So yeah, I think so. The power's gone on it.
Yeah, same thing.
When they tell you that
one and the power went on that. I don't know if that's a typical thing, but it seems like everyone I know who's had an EP200, the power's gone. Moved it.
Mine never failed. Are we talking about Wurlitzer now?
Yeah. Sorry,
Yeah.
I've got a Wurlitzer here. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to play a Wurlitzer on stage. I never had power failure, but the thing about tuning them is if you go too far, you can't go back. Even though they tell you you can, you can't. You drop any solder on that thing and it'll be gone in 10 minutes.
I realise. I mean, I didn't have any choice because I think there was just something missing. So, I did find a place where you could buy the reeds at a reasonable cost rather than 30 quid each. But I never got round to it. I mean, I haven't switched it on for a while, but I should do. It belonged to the Corgis, so it's got some provenance. Lovely old thing. Anyway,
lovely instrument.
Yeah, really nice. But I wish them all well. I mean, hopefully it'll work out if you want to head over there and, if you're interested, obviously, and you got that sort of cash, good on you. I mean, not everybody does, or very few people do. Let's take a look at this, though. I think everybody will be excited about this, or maybe they won't. We'll see. This is the new Starlab.
Hey, this is Pete from Strymon.
If I can find the link. Oh dear, I beg your pardon. I don't know what happened there. I'll play it again. I'm trying to find the link to put in there. I do beg your pardon.
Hey, this is Pete from Strymon. I'm here with our new Starlab time-warped reverberator Eurorack modulator. Starlab is a very full...
Yeah. I mean, this is kind of big deal. Every time Strymon brings something else out, and people get excited because they've just got such a kind of pedigree. And they were amongst the first, or the second wave after, say, Eventide, of the sort of superstar DSP kind of hardware that came out, particularly for stuff that's otherworldly. Because as we know, Eventide have coined that for a long time, but they kind of made a real name for themselves. I'll come to you, Dave, because I know you're a big fan of Strymon. You got an El Capistan. I know. What, the one that's not the OSX version? What's that one called?
What have I got? El Capistan Dig, Blue Sky. Not the big Blue Sky. I like the simplicity of the little Blue Sky. No, I mean I love everything they do. It's just I haven't gone down the Eurocrack route. So at first I was like, oh yeah, this looks cool, and then I was like, no, stay away from the Eurorack. Yeah, Eurocrack.
It's interesting that they went for that first, isn't it? Interesting that they went for the Eurorack version of this first.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, obviously it's pretty ubiquitous. But yeah, I'd love to try it. I mean, I like the idea of all the CV and stuff on it. But yes, it'll be a while before I get to it, I'm afraid. But could I put this in like a pod or something and just use it on its own?
Yeah, of course you could.
Possible?
I think that's allowed.
Okay, how much is it?
$649 US.
Okay.
That's the one I'm looking for. There we go. There's the link. Sorry about all of that messing around, but yeah, $649, which is kind of reasonable. I know, Matt. I'm guessing you gave me this one or mentioned it. I imagine you might be getting kind of excited, right?
Yeah, well, I'm more excited about this than the Magneto, which was their first Eurorack module. I think it's probably about the same size, same HP, because they're quite big. And the Magneto, yeah, a lot of people really excited about that. And I think you've just got delays on that. This one, you've got delay and really a big focus on reverb, different types of reverbs, filter.
Modulation and filtering, yeah.
Modulation. I think they've even introduced not just shimmer on this one, Nick, but it's something called glimmer.
They had glimmer on the what's the one I did? I can't remember. Not black hole, deep space. I can't remember what the last
black hole, Jobby. Oh, okay.
They had that on there, yeah.
first time I'd noticed glimmer, which they say creates an enhanced harmonic spectrum.
It does. I couldn't explain what it does exactly. I did review it, but I can't remember. Yeah. I know it sounded really good, and there's a lot of the same technology in this guy. Certainly in terms with it's got an LFO built on board, but in the was it the Black Hole? I think it was called the Black Hole. I can't remember now. A lot of that stuff was double functioned, and it was in a pedal. Yeah. So this gives you way more control. And I imagine, listening to your latest release, which sounds quite ambient, I imagine this would fit right in.
Yeah, defo. Although I've been pretty much up to date, kind of with reverbs and delays, set it and leave it kind of thing. What you've got here is you've got all these modulation inputs. So I guess if I got one of these, I'd have to ask myself, am I really going to be modulating the heck out of delay times and shimmer and filtering? And maybe I would. I need to give that a go. It's not an area I've really explored, and I think actually it can open up so many avenues for music production when you start using things like reverbs and delays instead of just a kind of set it and leave it kind of thing. And I can imagine kind of sequencing some of these modulation inputs and sending the whole thing through distortion, and then that through a VCA and sequencing that.
There's pitch quantize. There was sequencing on the Black Hole. I've just noticed this here, actually. There's a save button, favorite, which means, because there's no real indication of memories on there, but it looks like it does have some, which I think if that could be kind of triggered with something and also then modulated, then it could form the basis of something quite integrated in terms of live performance, I guess, as well, right?
Yeah. This is my favorite, the El Capistan. This is just an amazing stereo in, stereo out. I think Dave said he's got this one as well, but I use this with modular, and it's just so vibey. It's mono in, stereo out, and I just love it. I used to want to have a Space Echo until I kind of got one of these, and it's a bit different, but I think it sounds absolutely phenomenal, actually.
I just want to throw this in. Heathcliff in the chat room has said, "All that shimmers is not gold," which I think is just a great catchphrase. Nicely put in there. Rich, there's these sort of classy algorithms with all this control. It almost feels a little bit of a shame that it's going straight to modular. They must be putting this in a pedal, but I guess you wouldn't have all of these kind of gazintas and gazoutas, as I know you like to put it sometimes.
Well, yeah, but they have a pretty full-featured line of pedal-based stuff, as I understand it, and I've never operated one. But I spent some time listening to this thing in their demos, and it sounds awesome. And the fact that it does, as Matt led us to, allow for tempo-based modulations in a reverb environment could be very interesting. I've never really considered that much before because, like Matt, I'm more tempted to find an ambience I like and stick it on something and walk away and do something else. And the ability to do modular types of behaviors and tempo-driven modulations within a reverb environment of that quality is exactly why I think it belongs in the world, is because you can't do that really with a pedal. And let's see somebody blow us away with that, because that's a really interesting possibility. I don't normally think of modulating. I've never even given it much thought, modulating reverb parameters in a time-based environment. So I think it's actually a really cool possibility in terms of adding it to one's rig, and I'm quite intrigued by it, and I really love the way the demos sound. And I like the way they executed them too, because you can really tell what the thing's doing.
The excellently named, I'm just trying to see what he was called. It's Pete Celli, which is a great name for a sound designer, particularly if you're working with strings. Bada boom! There we go. I had to say. I had to say.
It's got to be said. I like the fact in the demos they show actually what a kind of intricate device this is, rather than your big, massive reverbs, which this can do. But you see in the demos, actually, there's so much intricacies you can do with it, with the filtering, the glimmer, the shimmer, the reverb types, and the modulation. It actually becomes very, very intricate and very nuanced as well, as opposed to your just whack on your big reverb and off you go kind of thing. So, I'm really excited about this one.
It's the night sky I was looking for, not the black hole.
Night
sky. That's the thing I reviewed. I reviewed that, and actually, I'll tell the story just because it makes me feel wanted. I did a demo, and I was playing some stuff, and there were some really nice things where you can map these parameters to sort of morph, and I mapped this pitch, so it went up through the reverb, and I had this. It was just a really. I think I was using the Cobalt 8, and the blues really matched. And I got a message from Peter Gabriel's main engineer, and he said, "Oh, Peter really liked that music," and I was like, "Yes, that's it."
All right,
excellent.
All right,
I was super pleased with that. They even bothered to say, and I sent the WAVs immediately. Said, "If there's any, I'll come over and do a session anytime, no problem." Okay, we should probably. I did mention that Alex was in a couple of the things this week. Alex Ball, who's been in the chat room, and I think I should probably at least play one of the things that he's in. So this is SP-1200. This is the news of the Rossum reissue. This is a great video by Alex Ball, a sort of love ode to the SP-1200, and it does sound good. Fat, I think, is what they say. Yeah, and I thoroughly recommend that you watch that video. It's a great piece by Alex. Definitely, I should have that link. In fact, I think I've got the link, which I could probably put in there as well. There we go. I'll put that up there as well. Why not? There we are. And that'll go in the chat room too. Big news. I mean, I've never touched, I've never heard, I've never played. I think I've seen one. I think maybe Will Goldfrapp's got one, but I've never played. But by all accounts, I know Non-Eric is a massive fan of the SP-1200. I mean, it kind of shaped an entire generation of early hip hop because of the quality of the 12-bit sample. And Rossum is actually re-releasing. Well, at least that's the news. I think it's today, in fact. But I think the story's there. This is the price on Reverb of the SP-1200, which is currently somewhere between $7,000 and $8,000. This is going to be around about $7,000. It's not going to be cheap, but it's actually Rossum Electro. If we go there, today at 10 p.m., 10 a.m., I believe they're going to be starting pre-orders. He's going to be rebuilding, whether it's with the addition, the old original hardware and chips and stuff. I don't know, but it's a really interesting idea. I don't know. Rich, I mean, again, it's another classic piece of technology that really, I mean, have you experienced any of these in the studio and sort of had the wow moment where you go, oh, now I understand why people dig this? Because I've not, and I'm just curious to know anybody who has. All right.
Oh yeah, we had SP-1200 right upon its release. We had SP-12 before that, and wonderful design, great drum machine. I loved it at the time. Had wonderful sound, did fun to program. I believe you were able to sample into the thing at some limited way, and you could play melodies on the buttons and stuff. It was cool. And this is interesting that it falls into that same sort of product category price-wise as the Rhodes, in terms of it being sort of a collector's item, a vanity piece. But then again, people might buy these things and take them on the road. Who knows?
It's not the first time. It's not the first time it's happened, because they did do a 35th anniversary of it. I think when was it, last year, and it had. If we look at the story over here on Synthtopia, it had limited edition with updated software to support SD cards, which is a great thing. I mean, it would make sense to maybe put SD card readers in it, and also maybe increase the amount of sample time you could get into a particular sound while still using all the original A to Ds and D to As, so you get the crunch, but you just have more of it. I don't know, maybe that'll work. Dave, you've got fond memories? You know, it's the classic hip hop machines. It's the Fat Beats box, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've personally never used one, but I've been in a couple of sessions. I was in a session with one band, I won't name them. They had a gold-plated one, and they were like proper bling hip hop, you know, and it was really, I mean, honestly amazing, because the person had grown up as a kid using this, and had obviously made a reasonable amount of money, well, enough to gold plate it, and he was a demon on it, an absolute demon, not dissimilar to Alex, really.
Yeah, so I just want to
leave that hanging.
Leave that hanging there. Got your in the chat room says Analog Odyssey VST designer makes a great SP-1200 filter plugin that's free and amazing. Makes everything sound like an SP-1200. There we go. There's a top tip for you. I'll see if I can find the link and I'll post that in. Matt, something to be said for these. I mean, it's the same deal, isn't it? It's like, it's kind of, people go, well, it seems like a lot of money for a Rhodes or a Steinway, but then when you're in a room with one and you hear what these things do and the way you interact with it, then perhaps you could begin to understand. And I don't have that experience, so I don't know whether you have.
I used one briefly, and I did have that moment of like, oh, okay, I get this. And really what it was that you're working with a very limited framework. There's not much really you can do on it. You know, and that's kind of it. They always say this, you know, less is more, and it really makes you work with what you've got more, if you like. And the 12-bit output and all that going through some juicy preamps and a limiter, it's just like, yeah, okay, I get this now. Although I can't remember last time I bought a sampler. Actually, I have the Bitbox sampler here actually in Eurorack. That's about, but I only bought that really for going on the road when I play live. Anything that I can't do in the modular, like some particular weird stuff that I could never recall, I put into there and I can trigger as one shots or something like that. The Bitbox is essentially like Ableton clip launching, and also multi-sample instrument playback. But other than that, I've never really had a desire or need to get a sampler again, not an external one anyway. I'm quite happy using internal ones like Contact. I wasn't even tempted by the Isla Instruments who did the
SP-1200, yeah.
The S2400, which I think it had a little OLED display on it. I think you could sample into 8 tracks simultaneously. I think it had a 12-bit lo-fi recording input and output, as well as a hi-fi 16-bit.
Yeah,
I think it was 48K. I wasn't even really tempted on one of them because it depends on what sort of music you're making. And I guess if you was making hip-hop, I'd be going after something like this, just in the same way that, you know, if I was in a band and I wanted to be Jimi Hendrix, I'd probably buy a Fender, and you know, I'd be trying to go after that sort of sound. So I guess what it's after. But then there's part of me that thinks I'd just love to have this, a mono synth, and just do an album with and the El Capistan delay
and a looper,
and
an RC505 Mark II, like I've just got in for review. That would, I'd suggest. I'd put it to you, Matt.
Sequence onto that. Just go minimal. Just do something like that. That'd be awesome. You know.
Yeah.
Maybe I should do that. I might. Yeah. I keep talking about.
Well, there is a concept. A lot of people do concept albums where, you know, like Alessandro Cortini does one with, you know, just effects pedals and a MC202, you know, etc. That sort of thing. I mean, there's a lot to be said for it. You know, a lot to be said. What you should do,
Nick, for the next Sonic album, you should maybe choose 3 things like that and ship them around to each of us, and we do a track with those things only, and do that as a kind of an album. See what we all do with the same equipment. You know,
that's an interesting idea. They make
drum
noise,
machine, sampler, synth, and some effects.
Make Noise do something similar, wouldn't they? They ship a case out to various different artists, and then they release the track. Well, they did. I don't know if they still do that, but yeah, interesting idea. But yeah, if you head over to Rossum Electro at today, well, not yet, but it's 10. I guess it would be 10 a.m. maybe PST. I'm not sure. So it's going to be a little while yet, maybe a couple more hours, and you should be able to see, because there's the 30th anniversary.
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Wow, maybe we can unveil
10 o'clock a.m. in Los Angeles. Yeah.
Oh, maybe that is. Well, let's see how that goes. I don't know. That might be a thing. Right, so I think we're going to get on to, because it's about time. I know we've got a couple of other topics, but they're also our new and quite popular pick of the week, which is where our panelists get to sort of maybe pick something that's caught their eye or something they found or discovered over the last period or since they've been on, where they fancy letting people know. I'm going to come to you first, Dave, because I know that hold on, I'm just going to find the actual I can't find anything. Here we go. It's the Alex Ball sound pack. That's Dave's pick. Alex Ball M-Tron. So Alex, well done, mate. There's a great video in here, which I think maybe if I play a little bit of it, it'll give you an idea of what to expect. This is an absolutely brilliant video of Alex just kind of and the sounds he made for your M-Tron Pro pack. And this is only the half of it, including loops and all of that stuff.
The Mellotron, that weird instrument from
Dave. This is your moment. I know you don't, you're not always comfortable plugging stuff, but this is what there's, you haven't been on for a while, so feel free, fill your boots.
No, it's the only reason I came on. No, it's
well,
not
yeah. It is.
Honestly, no, I came here for the fine company.
Well, of course, that too.
Yeah, Alex. I mean, I can't remember when I first bumped into Alex. I can't actually. There's actually quite a funny story about him and I exchanging emails or not exchanging emails. But he approached me when he was doing that art documentary, and I kind of helped out a couple of bits there. He came up to the studio and whatnot. And honestly, dude, I mean, I make a joke constantly, so you have to understand this is a joke, in that Alex thinks that I like him, but actually I really don't. All I want to do is kill him, eat him, and possess his power, because he makes everything that he plays just sound so damn good all the time. I mean, all his videos are great, his films are great, and it's just like, sometimes I'm kind of sat there going, why? But sometimes you have albums, don't you, that you listen to and you just think, yeah, I need to quit. And Alex has done that to me on a couple of occasions when I've heard stuff that he does. But he is supremely talented and such a pleasant chap. And we decided, so the Streetly guys have this thing called a Skeletron, which is essentially a completely bare bones Mellotron with the preamp and whatnot in it. And they use that to thread tapes and create tapes for restorations, or even the new Mellotron, or the new Mellotrons that they make, the M4000, not to be confused with the M4000D, which isn't tape based. In fact, that's my studio. That's our studio. That's Alex in the studio there. And we just kind of had this idea, because obviously we've done all these Streetly tapes, and they're very kind of strict about, the demands. And we just had this idea that if we open this whole Tronizing thing up to some really cool people, let's just see what happens. So we approached a few people, and they sent in a load of stuff, and Alex, as usual, was just like so on the money, so dedicated, so on the case. And what he sent through was like, wow, this is amazing. And then obviously all that data goes up to Streetly, who then thread it onto tape, and then they record the output. So it comes back, and then it needs chopping up and then putting in the Tron Pro. But that methodology just imparts some of that kind of beautiful tape play magic that obviously we've been fanatics about the Tron for so long. And Alex, being a kind of amazing multi-instrumentalist, just kind of really rose to the occasion. And out of everybody that we'd approached for this kind of invited artist series, Alex just kind of came through first, because he's always just on the case. And what we did is, so on the original Mark II Mellotron, so there's a lot of individual chromatic sounds here, and he was using all manner of stuff, processing it through a load of effects he's got. Again, it was going to tape, coming back. But on the original Mark II Mellotron, they have these rhythms and accompaniments. And just in a kind of mad moment, we were like, you know what, it'd be really interesting to do some other motifs within the kind of constraints of they're called stations. So they're set within a key, but an overall key, but each note you play triggers a different kind of set of chords and whatnot. And then Alex just kind of sent through some fun stuff, and we were like, this is really cool, because an awful lot of kind of film and TV people use the Tron because it gives you that kind of instant vibe. So yeah, that's it, and this is the first one. So when was this released? Like yesterday or something?
Yeah, yesterday. I should point out there's a great video that goes along with it. If you go to that product page, which is the link in the show notes, I think if I just throw that in again, there's a really good point where it's like, this is what it sounds like, you know, after I made it, and this is what it sounds like once it's been put on tape. And it's really interesting the way that it develops. So it's a fascinating video as well. So yeah, available now.
We did have a couple of occasions where we kind of like, so it had gone, it had been Tronized, and it came back, and we were like, I know this has made it sound different, but has it made it sound worse? I mean, because the Tron's got a very limited bandwidth, and so on those occasions, it was like, well, let's just include them all. Let's include all the versions. So yeah, awesome, really. Yeah, like I say, he thinks I like him, but I don't.
Excellent. Well, a top pick. Well, I suppose speaking of loops, I should at least put mine up, which I think really is this guy, which is the RC505 Mark II, because I've only just discovered it. I'm just putting that as my pick of the week. Obviously, there's a polybrute there, but that's beside the point. I can't believe I spent all this time without a looper in my life, or the only looper I've had, and it's so easy to use, and it integrates so well into a setup, because once you've looped, it'll spit out clock, so it'll clock other stuff. So you can actually use it to run other things outside of your loop that are just governed by the beatbox or the mumbling or whatever you did into your initial loop. It's a really, really smart thing. So that's my pick. I know, Rich, you were talking about the firmware version 4 for the Arturia Microfreak, which is also good. Have you got a Microfreak? I wasn't sure whether you had one or not.
No, I don't. Would love to, and will one day, but I don't yet. No.
But that's a pretty cool piece of update. I think I did a video of that. Have I got that somewhere? Let me see if I can find it. It's here somewhere. Where did I put that? Oh yeah, this one. I think that's it. And this again, I was just putting in for a load of effects, but it's a brilliant piece of, to have a bit of hardware that's actually gone that far into version. Oh, I haven't got a link for that. Anyway, nice choice, Rich. Also, Matt, you went for now this one I didn't really know, so I'm going to put. Let me see if I can find the. This is.
I think it's in. Oh yeah.
This is basically a video by a chap called Matthew Herbert. I don't know him, but you said you're going to go. You're seeing this at premieres tonight. You're watching the film about his work and his art.
Yeah. So as I understand it, the way he always works is that he doesn't use any instruments, any VSTs. Everything is recorded. I think he even did one album where it was just the sounds of meat. I think he used a pig. Oh, that's it. He had a pig. And it's not funny actually. I'm a vegetarian, and he ended up chopping his pig up and sampling it and beating it and slapping it, and the sound of crunching its bones and stuff. Yeah, to make an album. He's very much into using found sounds as his primary source, I believe, and I think that's most of his work comes from that way of working. So this is happening. It's actually playing tonight in Brighton. It's playing in a few selected cinemas as part of a film festival called Dock and Roll, and it just looked really interesting. I'm interested to know a little bit more about his workings and why he's chosen to go that way, as opposed to buying synths and software and all that, and why he likes to smash up pigs and.
Yeah, that's a bit weird. I imagine that's going to give you a headline. I remember there was a few conceptual artists. I think Helen Chadwick was one that used to use kind of viscera and all sorts of things to sort of create things of beauty, which I guess is a thing. But actually, I suppose if you are eat meat, then I guess you need to know the provenance of it. But it's quite a headline grabber, that one, and maybe might make him a bit controversial. But it looks very interesting. It's a very interesting idea.
I think if I seem to remember, Scott Walker, I think he had a song. I think he recorded it in Metropolis, and he ended up with a dead animal that he was just literally smacking. It was mic'd with ambient microphones. I forget the name of the track, but when you know what it is and you hear it, you have this connection with it that you probably won't get if it was just sound of someone slapping their hands or whatever. And it's full on. Yeah. Anyway, I'm off to see that tonight. I'll let you know what it is.
Okay. Wow. Okay, that's a kind of slightly random. Anyway, I suppose we are probably at the end. It feels like it. So, Rich, what's next for you? Are you back out on the stage again soon? Have you got some Christmas or whatever autumnal winter gigs coming up?
Next week, I'm traveling to an undisclosed location to play a private show for an undisclosed client whom I don't even know the name of. And so next week I'll be traveling down and back for a show. And other than that, I've got my own production work to do here, but I'm quite looking forward to the holidays and happy to be.
Yeah, I know. I totally get that. So I know, Dave, you're also, I know you're insanely busy, but as again, we never push you on what, because that's been an issue in the past. You can't have you promising. Soluble bricks. Okay, brilliant.
That's
diversifying.
What we're working on.
You've gone out of software into actual hardware items. Yeah, building stuff. Yeah. Well, sounds like an interesting diversion. But lovely to have you, Dave. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
And thanks for plugging the... if you go to g4software.com, which I think is underneath there, you can find all the information you need about the new Alex Ball sound pack, which was Dave's pick of the week, and quite rightly so. And, of course, Matt, nice to have you. So a lot of stuff happening for you. You got a new release, and you got... what else is happening?
There's that video on Friday. I've got this to finish putting together, and then I'll start doing some more live streaming and stuff with it. Because everything's in one place now, doing a live stream is going to be really easy, doing a patch from scratch sort of thing. So there's going to be some more of that. I'm putting together this video as well for everyone who's interested to kind of know about like the analytics and how successful or unsuccessful this releasing one track a month has been for an independent artist. So I'll jump on that too. But great to be back. Lovely to be hanging with the guys.
I've just got a question for you about your setup at the back there, because it's against the wall. How can you haven't got many options for reverse angles? So you have to go. I suppose it makes sense that you'll be facing at it, but there won't be any moody shots of you.
No, I've got a GoPro. I've got a GoPro up there, side shot, and then I have another one this way, and I've got this kind of roaming one as well that moves on this rail, which I can just put anywhere. So I've got side shots. I've actually got another GoPro and one of those helmet things you can wear.
Yeah, makes sense.
But I just can't bring myself to wear it.
You can mount them on. You get chest mount ones, and you can also mount them on your wrist, which is what I was using. So you can have it here, where you kind of actually, it would be a wide shot of you actually reaching in and turning that dial. That might be worth considering. I think you could buy those kind of GoPro mounting kits for like 20 quid, and they've got all sorts of attachments, and it might be worth looking at that. Definitely.
Wicked. Yeah, I'll give that a go. But I'll try and do a live stream maybe over the weekend when this case is all full.
You've got what's that central strip? Have you got that? Is it that? What's the format? The kind of mini one, that goes along the middle.
1U.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've got 3U, 3U, 1U, and then 3U, 3U. So I find the 1U is really useful for all the kind of utilities, little mixers, gates.
Who makes those? There's a company that makes quite a lot of modules for that, isn't it? I'm trying to remember what their name is.
So there's Pulp Logic. And then there's IntelliGel. They're the main ones that do a lot of the 1U. Yeah. But they're slightly different sizes. There's a bit of a rift, if you really want to know. A bit of a boring story. Everyone will know about this in the Eurorack community. But IntelliGel are saying that 1U is a particular size. and then Pulp Logic are saying it's a different size. And I just wish that I wish they'd just get into bed and agree it out and fight it out or whatever. So
isn't it 19-inch 1U? Isn't that what you would use?
Yeah, I would use 1U. I mean, I've actually got a tape measure with 1U's on it, increments, and it's 1U is 1U. It's like saying 1 centimetre is not 1 centimetre. So I don't know what's going on.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Somebody
well,
sort it out.
Thank you, everybody. It's been a pleasure to have you all here. To have a fours up and everybody available. It's always nice. So thank you all, and thank you everybody who's joined in the chat room, and the Discord, and all of those places. Much appreciated. But that's it for this week. We'll say goodbye. And if you are one of our higher tier patrons, your name should appear any second now. So that's it. Sonic Talk's over. Thank you very much. See you next time. Bye bye now.